Hello and welcome to the Boardroom Buddies podcast. This morning, I'm delighted to be joined by John Cleary, who is a brand photographer. You know those times when you create your website and your social media and all that kind of thing, and you do lots of images of your services and your products, and then still people don't buy from you. John, I think, is going to explain why that could be happening. So welcome, John. Thank you for joining me on the podcast today.
Morning, Jackie. Thank you for inviting me.
It's great to see you. I can see you because we are recording this on a Zoom meeting, but obviously on the podcast it will go out as audio just at the moment. Eventually everybody will be able to see us. So I'm going to talk about personal branding versus the kind of business branding. We all focus, don't we, on, as business owners, on setting up the right marketing messages according to our service and all that kind of thing. And then I don't know about you, but I have spent hours over the years searching through, all the different photograph sites for some good images for the website that go with the text that's been written and all that kind of thing. Wasted hours.
Yes.
So tell me about, first of all, just give us a bit about your background. So how did you get into photography?
Oh, that's almost a podcast in itself, Jackie, but I'll try and give you the short version. So I was in global HR in IBM, and I basically, over a period of time, I was became very unproductive, couldn't work out why. Ended up going off work for about 6 months and had some counselling and realised that actually what the problem was, because I was working from home and we didn't have video conferencing, I was just basically missing human connection. And so I thought, well, what can I do about this? Because I like the job, but I really, I've got to get some more kind of human face time. So I was already a kind of a keen amateur photographer, and I thought, well, why don't I go and do wedding photography on a Saturday, and that will kind of get me into a nice kind of happy environment, lots of people, and that's kind of where it started. That was back in 2009, and by July 2011, there was a voluntary redundancy program, and I stuck my hand up.
Ooh, that must have been really scary.
It was quite scary, yeah. It was quite scary, even with kind of a year's salary as my redundancy package. But yeah, it was very scary. And I can't say it's been plain sailing, but then running a business never is. But I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it.
No. Okay. So you set out, well, gosh, it's over 10 years now.
Yeah, it is 12 years.
Yeah.
Well, that's 12 years full time, 14 years.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So when you first started out, did you say that you were doing weddings?
Yeah, so I started out doing weddings and family photography. Family photography I just didn't get on with, so I dropped that quite quickly. So I was doing mainly weddings, and I started doing a few kind of other shoots, and then I actually moved into what I call beauty photography. So it's where clients would come along with their mother, their sister, their best friend, and I've got a fabulous hair and makeup artist, and they'd walk in with no makeup, and then we'd kind of do this, or my makeup artist would create this transformation, and we got some fabulous photos of them looking even more amazing than they did when they walked in.
Yeah.
So and I had a studio for that. I got a 3-year lease on the studio, and at the end of the lease, I kept asking, can I renew the lease? Can I renew the lease? Anyway, I found out from a third party that basically somebody else was sniffing around the studio, and it was a company of solicitors, and I never really stood a chance, so I had to walk away from it. And at that point, I'll be honest, I thought my photography career was over. And then I met a female business coach, and at some kind of networking event and showed her what I was doing. And she said, John, she said, women in business need what you're doing.
Mm.
She said, you need to carry on doing it, but do it for women in business. So, and that was where my personal brands stuff started. And I've been doing it now for probably 6 or 7 years.
Mm. But you don't just work with women now, do you?
No, I don't just work with women. I work with mainly women, but no, the odd man does come to me and ask me to photograph them.
I know some of those odd men that come to you. I'm sure they won't mind us saying that. um, okay, so you kind of went down the kind of personal branding.
Yes.
So tell me about the difference in, why what's so important about the personal images and personal branding compared to, when you're setting up your website and doing your social media, we're kind of presenting what we do.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, Jackie, it's a mistake that we all make. I made the same mistake when I first started out in business. You kind of think that the quality of your work is really going to be all that you need to demonstrate to people in order for them to buy you. But in actual fact, we're all programmed to see faces and look for faces, and insofar as that, we are people buy from people. I'm going to have to use it. I'm sorry, but
No,
people do buy from
fine.
people, and
Yeah.
they buy from people that they know, like, and trust.
Yes.
An example I quite often use is if I've got a bad back, I need to find a physio. Now the thing is, I can't find a photograph of a back that doesn't hurt and think, oh, I'll have that one. And neither am I likely to buy into a photo of somebody with their elbow in somebody's back, kind of trying to make it stop hurting. What I'm actually going to buy at the end of the day is the physio themselves, because that's all I can see. So actually having photographs of yourself, and the whole personal brand thing is why it is so important, because as we've said, people buy people, and they buy from people that they know, like, and trust. If you imagine you're looking for a service, or you're looking to buy something, and you've got two websites, they've all got exactly the same text on, they've all got exactly the same pricing and everything else. One's got photos with people on, or the person who's providing the service, and the other one hasn't. Which one are you most likely to buy from? Unless they've done a really bad job of making themselves look like you want to work with them. Yeah, you're almost certainly gonna buy from the one with the photos of with the pictures of the people on. And how many times have you been to a website where you've looked through, you found this is just what I'm looking for, that all the words are right, the pricing's right, and everything, and you're like, I've not seen anybody on this yet, and you go to the About Us page, and there's no photos of anybody.
Yeah.
For me, if I see that, I'm like, I'm out of there. I'll go and find somewhere where I can see who I'm dealing with, because nobody wants to deal with a faceless corporation. I don't deal with big corporations generally, but if you're going to work with a business, you want to know who that person is that you're dealing with. So I would say that's what it's all about. I mean, personal brands versus company brand. Company branding, I've got a logo on for my business, but most people won't know what it looks like. I do, because it's mine and it's important to me. But to be honest, most people won't give a monkeys about my branding.
No.
But they will recognize me when they see me, and know that it's John from John Cleary Photography.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point, because I suppose, like many others, when you've done your LinkedIn and your Facebook and your kind of social media, you've got those images that I've always been trying to create an image that relates to the content, you know, but it's not me. It's not been me. And of course you get, depending on the post, a reasonable amount of views and things like that, but it's not helping people to engage with you, is it? No.
That's true. And you know, I mean, as a new business, quite often most businesses start at a kitchen table and people don't have a lot of money
No.
to spend on their business. You know, you know, they might go off somewhere and buy a logo off somebody. It's not really a company brand, but that's not today's topic. But you don't have a lot of money, so it's a great idea to go out and get some stock images that you can use just to break the text up a bit, which is fine when you're starting off. But you know, once you've got the money to invest in having some great photos taken, that just kind of takes your business up to the next level. Now, you're saying about having posts and what have you. If you can have a photograph that kind of almost tells a story or links through to whatever the post is, that's gold dust, because people will be scrolling and they're like, oh, there's Jackie. What's Jackie got to say? And if within the image you've kind of got a hint of what you're going to be talking about in the post, that would be brilliant.
Yeah. And I've noticed and been doing as well on my social media, I had more images of me on there, and certainly the podcast image has got me in it, you know. So
yeah, it's so important.
And I have noticed my views are going up as a result of, I suppose, people seeing me, and obviously there's all the other things about consistency and stuff like that. But
oh, absolutely. But yeah, I'm sure that will be the case.
So the individual photographs that a business owner might have, how does that encourage people to buy from them?
Well, lots of reasons. And so say for instance we're looking to buy a service. For instance, I've got really busy, I need a VA to help me with some of my admin work. I will ask for recommendations from people that I know, but I will also probably go and do some searching of my own. And if I go to LinkedIn and search for VAs, I will see lots and lots of VAs.
Yeah.
I won't look at every single one of them. I will probably make a short list of maybe 4, 5, 6. I've proven through some webinars that I've run that actually what we do when we're picking making a short list of people who provide the service that we want, that we go off the headshots more than anything else. So the people who haven't got headshots or haven't got good headshots, they might have put up a picture of their office or their dog or their logo or what have you, or no photo at all. They could be the best VAs in the world, but they're not getting onto my shortlist, so they've missed out on the business already. That shortlist of 5 or 6 that I've got, mixed in with the ones that have been recommended to me, I will then go and do a little bit of research of my own, and I'll go and look at their social media. I'll look at the website and see. It's the ones who look professional and have got professional photos rather than the stock imagery or selfies that I will probably be more inclined to work with, because they look like they're a professional business. So having those professional photos can make the difference between actually getting onto somebody's shortlist and or getting through to the very short list through to actually somebody picking up the phone. And this is the difference, I guess, between business pre-internet and post-internet, because before, what we would do is we'd probably pick up the Yellow Pages and look thumb through that and ring somebody, and then we'd go and meet them, and that would be it. Whereas now we can actually do all of our research online before we actually even pick up the phone.
Yeah.
And quite often these
Yeah.
days now, when somebody rings us up, they've already done all the research. It's our job
Mm.
to lose rather than our job to win, if you see what I mean.
Yes, yeah, yeah. I even do that shopping these days. So I'll
Yeah,
scour the internet for something, particular, find what I think I might like in shops, and then I'll go to those shops
yeah,
rather than spending a whole afternoon going in and out of all
shops.
the
Yeah,
shops, kind of
yeah,
thing.
good idea.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, because I think when people are looking to buy and they're doing that research, it's about reducing the risk, isn't it?
Yeah,
And we're not all, but for the sake of this audience is aimed at the owners of micro businesses. And at first we all try and make ourselves look, we're a big business and all that kind of, and actually it's not necessary, but people want to know that you run your business properly.
yeah.
And that there isn't a risk involved with them buying from you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that imagery is really key, isn't it?
Yeah, it does. It makes a big difference. And, if you imagine, again, like I said earlier on in the podcast about two websites, imagine three websites. So one's got no images, one's got stock image. Well, four actually. One's got no images, one's got stock images, one's got selfies, and the other one's got professional photography. If they're all basically exactly the same website, you're more likely to buy from the one that's got the professional imagery because they
Yeah,
look like they're serious about their business.
yeah. But it doesn't mean to say that they have to have the kind of, like I did when I first started out, because my audience was very different to now. I
Yeah,
worked with corporate companies, so those poses, those headshots were the more powerful, arms crossed, looking side
yeah,
at the camera, that kind of stuff. And I don't really work in that sphere anymore. So it's a
yeah,
different thing, isn't it? And that
yeah.
your images don't have to be that kind of corporate-y feel. On the other
No,
hand, they don't also need to be with the dog licking your face and stuff like that,
no,
So yeah, getting it right is quite important, isn't it?
it is. And for me, it's about being the real you. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
it's too easy. And I mean, another little aside, and I wrote a post about this. One of the photos that most of us have got of ourselves is should be, in theory, a really good photo of us because it's well lit and everything else, and that's a passport photo.
yeah,
Invariably, it's the worst photo we've got taken of
yeah,
us because we have to have a neutral expression and
yeah.
there is no personality in it whatsoever.
No,
So surely the converse is also true, that if you can get a photo with no personality, you can get a photo with loads of personality. And
yeah,
that's what I'm aiming to do, is to bring people's personality out so that people get a sense of who that person is.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I suppose really we've talked through the fact that the personal imagery is far more important. But what about when, because I know there are lots of people who are in business who, oh God, I don't do photos, I'm not getting in front of camera, all that kind of thing. What do you say to people like that?
Well, it's tricky, isn't it? Because if you don't like having your photograph taken, you don't like having your photograph taken. It's a very hard barrier to break through. But at the end of the day, if you've got your own business, it's kind of, you owe it to yourself and the success of your business to kind of break through that barrier. Again, as a personal brand photographer, the two of the kind of biggest objections that I get from people is, I don't like having a photograph taken, and professional
Mhm.
photography is too expensive, which, I get that it is quite a big investment. But the whole, I don't like having a photograph taken, that can be fixed. That can be fixed. I've recently launched, off the back of those two kind of major objections, if you like. I've just actually launched something called Let's Get Visible Online, and it's a photography membership.
Yeah.
There are a few people who have joined it who hate having the photograph taken. And the first time they turned up, they looked petrified.
Yeah.
Um, the second time they turned up, they knew what the process was. They'd seen it. It was all fine. They got some good photos from it. They probably still looked a bit nervous, but the second time they turn up, they look far more relaxed. Maybe not as relaxed as they could be, but definitely kind of third shoot in, they're like, it's just, I'll just spend some time with John. He's going to take a few photos, and they're so relaxed, and that's really lovely to see. And I think the reason that a lot of people have a problem with being photographed is, well, there's a couple of things. One, it's something that if you shy away from it, and it's something that doesn't happen very often, it's kind of outside your comfort zone. If you do it regularly, it's not as bad.
Yeah.
The other reason is that some people don't like the photographs, and this has been proved in uh, a experiment by a psychologist. A lot of us don't like photos of ourselves because unless we're extraordinarily lucky, our faces aren't completely
Oh,
symmetrical.
yeah, yeah.
So we're used to seeing our faces in the mirror. And as soon as we see a photo, our faces are flipped to what we're used to. And so we look a bit odd.
Ah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So again, it's about kind of in the nicest way possible, getting over ourselves.
Yeah.
Um, but the other thing is that we and I've noticed this with the majority of my clients is when I take a photograph of them and show them, and I think, oh wow, that's a great photo. They dive straight into all the things they don't like about themselves.
And I did the same.
And you did the same. Yeah, you did the same. Most people do it. But the thing is, I say to them, well, do you do that to other people's photos? Like, no. And that's the thing we have to remember about photos of ourselves. Well, I will dive straight into my crooked teeth and all the other things that I don't like about myself. Most people won't do that.
Yeah.
Well, hardly anybody will do it. So
Mm.
it's kind of just being kind to yourself, really.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the photos that you did of us when you came to Boarding Buddies, they're really clear and they're great, and I should be making lots of use of those. So they're
Uh,
fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. Um. So the let's get visible, the photo shoots that you do. So there's
yeah.
a group of you. People sign up for it, and then you do a group thing.
Yes. So it's an annual membership that's paid monthly.
Yeah.
And it's really cheap. And how I've managed to get it to be as well as say it's not cheap, it's very good value, not cheap.
Yeah.
Um the reason that the way that I've managed to do that is what I'm doing is whoever when you're a member, you get to book on a 1 hour shoot with me every month, but 3 or 4 other members will probably come along as well.
Mm.
So the beauty of that is that I get to set up a shot, put somebody into it, and then put everyone else through it as well. So it's kind of time efficient for me. So it allows me to charge much less than I ordinarily would. So
Oh,
basically you're getting as many photos as you probably would on what I used to do in a headshot session, which would have
yeah.
cost a couple of £100. You're getting for £75. So it's kind of almost a third of the price. But
Yeah. Very good.
you're having it. And the other beauty of having other people there is twofold. It takes the pressure off the person that's being photographed because there's more people there. It's not just a one-to-one situation, which some
Mm.
people can find a little bit stressful.
Mm.
Um, but also there's some really nice networking going on. People are chatting with each other and meeting each other for the first time and say, oh,
Mm.
what you do, and oh, we must meet and have a coffee. So there's kind of all that camaraderie. I said two things, there are three. The third thing is
Yeah.
that because we've got other people there, quite often we want a photo of us coaching a client, or a client meeting, or having coffee with friends, or what have you. So we can draw those other members into the photograph, so it's not just you on your own.
A bit like Rent a Crowd.
Yeah, exactly. A bit.
Brilliant.
Yeah, exactly like Rent a Crowd.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and do you do it a particular venue, or do you choose different venues to do that?
No, I do it different venues each time. I mean, obviously, we will get to a point where we need to kind of recycle venues, but my plan is to use different venues every month, because what you don't want, the photos will start looking a bit samey, which nobody needs. Also, throughout the year we've got all the different seasons as well, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
I've got a shoot later on this week, because it's a spring. We're doing a shoot in a bluebell wood.
Ooh, lovely.
And then in the autumn, there's all the autumn leaves, and in the winter you'll like winter coats and scarves and hats and things, and in the summer you'll be short sleeves and what have you. So you're getting all these really nice kind of seasonal images that you can use all year round.
Yeah.
Plus, as a lot of my clients say, like they change their hair color or the hair length or what have you, or get new glasses or whatever it is,
Yeah.
so their appearance changes.
Yes.
And another advantage of the membership is that your images are staying current with you, rather than it being an investment at a point in time, and then as things change, the other thing as well is that obviously our businesses move on as well. Now, the focus changes as the business develops. So again, you've kind of got that ability to have photos that change with the business
Yeah, that sounds like a really brilliant idea.
Thank you.
It's so relevant, because when I first started with the business, I worked mainly with corporate companies, to larger companies. So very much my appearance and all the photos I had were quite kind of the powerful pose, the arms crossed and all that kind of stuff. Totally different now to my business owners that own micro businesses that I work with now, which is much more relaxed, casual. And I think times have changed, haven't they? Following the pandemic, we're all a bit more casual.
Yes, I would say that's one of the things that's come out of that, is that definitely the way that we dress has definitely changed. We're far more relaxed now.
Yes.
Suits are much less
Yeah
kind of visible than they used to be. Financial advisors and people like that are kind of definitely going more cash. The people that would ordinarily have been shirts and ties. Some are sticking with it, but
yeah. I think that's I think it's a brilliant concept. I really think it's good. So I look forward to being part of that later on.
Oh, brilliant. Excellent.
But yeah. Okay, so how do